Welcome back to another episode of Deadite Talk, the ultimate Ash vs. Evil Dead rewatch podcast, where we go back and rewatch our favorite horror TV show and break it down piece by piece each episode every week. It is a lot of fun doing this, and I really enjoy doing this with you guys. We're getting close to the end of the first season finally. And yeah, we are going to get some filler episodes, which is pretty much what this episode is. But before we begin, I just want to ask you guys to please support the podcast, leaving a like, hitting that subscribe button, leaving a comment down below as well. If you want to financially support me, the channel, the podcast, you can become a member or leave a super thanks down below. And that little bit of money goes a long way on this channel. It really does for me. But yeah, we also have some merch out as well. I don't have it on currently. It's in my wardrobe. I forgot to put it on because I'm a bad podcaster trying to plug his own merch. I'm terrible at it. But yeah, let's jump straight in the episode. So this is episode 7, Fire in the Hole. This aired on December 12th, 2015. Director Michael Hurst on Spartacus, Hercules, and Xena. He also previously worked on the last episode. Developed for TV by Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi as well. It is guest starring Peter Feeney as Lem, Mark Mitchinson, that's a mouthful to say that, Mark Mitchinson as Crosby, who was also in Evil Dead Rise. Mike Estes, I think I'm saying his name right, Mike Estes as Austin, who was in My Name is Bruce, Burn Notice, and he is a stunt guy as well. Milo Cawthorn as Delmont, he was in Deathgasm and Power Rangers, haven't seen either of those. And we have Jordan Mooney as Lance, who was also just a random militia guy, I guess. So for the synopsis of this episode, Ash, Kelly, and Pablo, now joined by Fisher, look for Lem in the woods, but arrive at the militia camp in the midst of the chaos and must go to extreme measures to escape. Yeah, I mean, this episode's a little... this episode's a little brutal to get through, but yeah... let's start it. So we start the episode off with the Ghost Beaters now joined by Amanda heading into the forest where the militia cabin is located, where they talk about the dangers they will face at the cabin, as well as saying they are not leaving a trail of blood and guts behind them, they're just keeping Michigan moist. Kelly says that she really wants a flamethrower. They encounter a woman torn in half and a lot of destruction. A barely alive man tells them that he came and raised most of the camp, but then Crosby and his boys appear and shoot him in the head. Just a little note from this scene. I like the little opening where you get to see the moose and like the insect crawling on the log. I thought that was pretty cool. The shot sign as well was kind of a nice little detail to indicate, all right, we're at the militia camp now, I guess. The little music in the background, I like that as well. It kind of gave me Walking Dead vibes a lot. This entire scene gave me Walking Dead vibes a lot. Ash doing the gesture of, like, you know, cutting his throat after saying they'll get him all fixed up. I thought that was funny. And, you know, if you've played the game, you'll notice that the outfits that they've got in this scene or this entire episode pretty much is what they pull from for Kelly and Pablo in the game there. So that's an interesting thing to note from me. I'd add that in there. Crosby leads them inside and starts questioning them, and when Ash mentions Lem, the militia become agitated, as he is the one who turned Deadite and started killing people. One of the militia recognizes that Amanda is a cop, and Crosby becomes paranoid about them being connected to the government. As one of the men comes to check on what opened the door, Lem drags him out and into the bunker. Amanda tells the others to quickly leave, but Crosby stops him and tosses her and Ash into the bunker while Pablo and Kelly manage to hide. You know, this is such a dialogue-heavy scene. Apparently it took 2.5 days to shoot. I don't know, man. You know, the guest star Mark Mitchinson playing Crosby, I thought did a really good job playing that character. Like, he plays him very well. He's very believable. You know, he gives off the right vibes for the character as well. The set design in this little area is on point. You know, you'll notice they even have like etched names in the locker and stuff, which I thought was like a really nice attention to detail. I try to read the names to see if they mean anything of significance, but yeah, I couldn't really make them out. The dialogue is a little rough in the scene though. You know, it's so dialogue heavy. You know, when the guy says Lem, like, and Ash goes like Lem, like, who else? Who else? Like, I don't know. It's just. There's just something about this entire scene that just kind of brings the episode down a little bit. Don't get me wrong, I like the whole point of it being like in a sheltered atmosphere where they're taking shelter away from the Deadite that's causing all the chaos. Like, I kind of like that vibe to it. Kelly doing the outbursts of the Deadite, like, come get me, you motherfucker. Like, or like her shouting that, and the guy just randomly recognizing Amanda as a cop as well. I don't know. It felt very messy. I just think this episode's plot overall is just terrible. I just do. But it's not to say like the actors did a bad job or anything, but yeah, just poorly written dialogue. Oh, also forgot to mention at the start that this was written by Sean Clements, who did the Books from Beyond episode as well earlier in the season. So while they're stuck inside, Ash figures out how to get the flashlight working on his new hand. They head further into the bunker as the lights come on. Amanda confesses she feels her entire life has been turned upside down when only a week ago she was having a burger with her partner. Ash tries to comfort her and saying you're finally seeing the world how it really is, and that they both can see how the world truly is. Life being hard and dangerous, and sometimes you just gotta chop somebody's head off to survive. Ash starts hitting on Amanda. When the latter apologizes for misjudging him, wait, is that right? Yeah. When the latter apologizes for misjudging him, Ash inquires about Ruby. As Amanda is explaining how thankful she is to Ruby for opening her eyes, we see her emerging from the pyre. She didn't die after all. She's still alive and completely naked. Cut back to Amanda getting interrupted by an obvious Lem shouting. She inquires, "What was that?" Like, again, this is another thing. Like, they're clearly in the bunker. They know. I'm pretty sure they know Lem's down there, right? Because I'm pretty sure they said they were going looking for him. And then he shouts, like, "I'm coming to get you," or whatever. And she inquires, like, "What was that?" Like, really? Like, you don't know? Like, how? What else is it going to be? Maybe I'm just being a dick about this episode. I don't know. But it's just things like that just kind of set me off a little bit, and I'm just like, okay. They keep moving through the bunker, trying not to make any noise. We then get a close-up of the Deadite Lem in all his glory. I thought Deadite Lem's design looked fucking amazing, by the way. You know, this section of the episode is actually pretty great, just because, you know, it takes us out with a terrible plot, you know, when Amanda is talking about Ruby and, like, how, like, who she's been, who she's become, like, who she is to Amanda, and that. I thought that was really cool. The one-take camera shot, of them walking down the hallway as well, I thought was, like, really good. Sorry, I got cut off because subscriber alert just come on, so thank you for subscribing, whoever it was. As I was talking, it kind of put me off. But yeah, when they're doing the whole section of walking down the hallway, it's not an easy thing to do, and most of the time you'll have the different camera shots and the different angles, so scenes are kind of cut up. Where just having the one hallway shoot, I thought was pretty good. You know, Bruce and Jill have got pretty good chemistry as well. And, you know, Ash flirting when they're trapped is hilarious. It's like, you know, trying to lighten the mood, I guess. You know, Ash has still got that side of him where he's a bit of a player, I guess, a bit of a womanizer, and, you know, you just get a good laugh from that. And then we get to see naked Ruby as well, so that's always a bonus, right? Crosby's men look for Pablo and Kelly while Deadite Lem shows up to Ash and Amanda, attempting to douse them in kerosene and set them on fire. Pablo and Kelly are hiding in the woods. Pablo is envious of Kelly, knowing what weapon she wants to use, that is being a flamethrower. He's trying to figure out what his weapon of choice would be. They get interrupted by a group of militia pulling up next to them. Meanwhile, Lem is hunting for Ash and Amanda in the bunker. Kelly and Pablo get the drop on one of the militia guys to get his gun, but get caught by the other one. You know, I think Peter Feeney, who's playing Deadite Lem, you know, he's just doing an amazing job in this entire episode. It's probably one of the biggest highlights. And yeah, if not the standout of the episode, you know, the voice, the characteristics that he's doing, they're very on point. You know, good scene with Pablo and Kelly as well, with some silly little dialogue that lighten the mood in the episode. And, you know, I like the little suspenseful music when they're hiding from the militia guys. There's like a little bit of a suspense music playing, which I thought was cool. But yeah, I'm really disappointed we didn't actually get to see Deadite Lem in the game, because I always said, you know, when he's breathing fire and stuff, that would be a really cool demon to play against, I guess. Ruby gets her car back and notices that Ash's right hand is gone. She then opens up in a mysterious hidden compartment of the Kandarian dagger is hidden. I thought that was funny. Yeah, just got that little, you know, the dodge challenges all come with that little secret compartment where you press a button and it just drops out a little Kandarian dagger. I'm gonna have to get myself one of them. The militia members refuse to listen to Pablo's words that the government has nothing to do with what's going on, but another Deadite attacks and kills them. Pablo rams him against a tree, and he and Kelly finally get the guns. He tries to disguise himself as one of the fanatics, and he tries to pull the gas mask off the Deadites, sorry. However, in Evil Dead fashion, he's not dead yet, and he attacks, forcing Kelly to riddle him with bullets. Absolutely, this scene was just hilarious, man. Ray just, freaking out. When Kelly's trying to shoot the Deadite, there's blood everywhere. This probably has to be one of the goriest scenes we've had so far with the blood. And yeah, it's just spurting all over the back of the truck. Pablo's slipping everywhere. The Deadite's grabbing hold of him. He's like freaking out, telling Kelly, don't shoot. Like, yeah, it was a really funny scene. I enjoyed this one. And, with Ruby being brought into this episode, I thought, again, this definitely shows that things were shot out of order, and that was just probably a scene just randomly thrown in there. I don't think we really needed to see it, but it is what it is, I guess. Also during the scene we have that Deadite that approaches the back of the truck, and he just starts bashing the guy's head into the truck. I just thought that was brutal. But yeah, I thought there was a nice attention to detail as well. When Kelly goes to shoot the assault rifle at the Deadite, and she gets thrown back, and it's like got a really big kick to it. I thought it was a nice attention to detail to make it believable that Kelly isn't an expert of firearms, obviously, and most other TV shows will just have the character pick up an assault rifle and instantly know how to use it correctly and stuff like that. So for the next scene in the bunker, Ash gets the idea of blowing it up with propane, and Amanda tries to attract Lem. After that, a disguised Pablo drives up to Crosby and keeps him on gunpoint along with Kelly. Cut to Lem, who finds Ash and Amanda and douses himself in kerosene, lighting up a flare. The three of them have a great fight, with Lem breathing fire at them. Ash beats him to a pulp with a shovel, chopping a bit of his brain off in the process and then knocking the flare out of his hand. Amanda stabs Lem through the mouth with a pickaxe, and then, safety last, Ash puts out the flare with the shovel. They become attracted to each other after an adrenaline-fueled fight and almost kiss, but Pablo and Kelly interrupt the moment. The four take their pick of guns while another Deadite shows up, only to become an easy target. I love the effects they did with the fire and Lem. Just the whole fight choreography in the scene as well, it was just really well done. The attention to detail in the entire bunker, the whole set design is fantastic as well. It really makes you believe, like, oh, we're underground here. Obviously, this is just built in a big warehouse somewhere that they're gonna go and shoot in. But they did some really good things with the cameras in this as well, where it was like really dark at the beginning with Ash with the flashlight. It was actually a lot lighter than that, apparently, but when I was listening to it in the DVD commentary. So, having like little touches like that, really make you believe the entire scene. I just think they did a great job with that. I always laugh at Lem when he jumps up on top of the cage where the propane tank's in, and he just starts like throwing the plastic like 5-liter bottles at them for some random reason. Yeah, just I thought that was funny as well. And during the fight scene, and like Ash doing a little rough at Amanda when he catches her, I thought that was funny. Is a question though, is it believable about these two having something for each other? I understand that they just went through an ordeal having a fight, the adrenaline's pumping, Ash is very flirty and stuff, but is it believable? Throughout the entire season, we've seen nothing but Amanda not trust the wrong person, I guess. I don't know. Like, yeah, she's just like, she's been after Ash this entire time, thinking he's a scumbag. Obviously, she was wrong about him, but why is she so quick to turn around? Just because of like a few ordeals that they've been through. I don't know. It's just a question, I guess. A question I have. Pablo firing his own boomstick is hilarious as well. He just fires a big ass mortar and blows up some barrels behind him. I thought that was funny. I thought it was criminal we never got that outfit for Pablo in the game as well, the militia outfit. I thought that would have been dope. The scene of seeing the Deadite killed by Amanda and Cole was cool. It was a cool shot. It was sort of like a hero moment. Like, it's not just Ash anymore that's killing the Deadites, it's the group. And yeah, they all just obliterated that last guy, which I thought was awesome. So for the next scene, just before the group leaves the camp, Ash admits that they have all grown on him and that they should keep themselves alive for as long as possible. They walk on ahead with him and turn around only to discover that Ash has disappeared. At the same time, his right hand has come to the Nobi cabin. I thought this was actually a really cool scene before we got to the cabin part, obviously. And, Ash confessing how much how much they meant to him. And it does like a slow close up of him, and then he's realizing like he needs to protect them. And I thought it was quite emotional and quite powerful from Bruce doing that, like just pulling that sort of face in that scene, just like, oh, I'm kind of regretting, bringing you guys along, so I'm just gonna dip, that type of thing, because I don't want to lose you guys, because I know what happens at the cabin, right? Which I thought was great. And then obviously seeing the cabin and the light and the hand, I thought that all looked awesome. Little Addams Family action going on there. Again, solid choice for the song as well. It was made exclusively for the show, I believe, by Bootsy Collins, which emphasizes, Ash, the time has come today, young hearts can go their way. So yeah, I thought that was just a nice little touch there. But yeah, that's the scene by scene, and not a lot went on in this episode. Like I said, it was a bit of a, it did feel short when I was watching it, and reading the scene by scene, it felt even shorter. But honestly, like, it took me an hour to get through this episode, because what I do is I'll watch, I'll pause, and then I'll type some notes out and stuff. But I didn't like really take a lot of notes from this episode, because there just wasn't really much to talk about. Usually I'll be picking things out, some of the acting, some of the makeup. By the way, all the practical effects and everything was fantastic in this episode. All the makeup design, the look of Deadite Lem was on point as well, which is, one of the highlights, which we'll get into in a minute. But, I just felt myself like going back and having to rewatch scenes to like literally try and pick things out. I've never had to do that before, watching the episode and typing up notes. Usually I'll just watch the scene, I'll pause it and type up some notes from the scene. But I was rewinding the entire episode sometimes to go back and like try and pick things out of some of the scenes, and I've just never had to do that before. And it's just really like goes to show the difference of the quality of this episode compared to what we're kind of used to in the season by now. With the last episode, to me, the last episode in the eligos stuff, sorry, I know people call them eligos, that kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. So yeah, the last two episodes, or the last three episodes, were really good. Every episode's been really good so far, but the last three were really stand out. And you're not going to have a perfect episode every season, but with the episodes being 30 minutes long, and they're not trying to drag it out. There's only 10 episodes a season as well. You kind of expecting every episode to be fucking nailing it, And I just don't think that this episode does it, and it doesn't keep up to the standards of what we're used to in the previous episodes. And what I'm trying to say here is that, we don't really get to the show hit its stride for me in the last episode. Finally hit its stride, and then it just come to a bit of a, it took a fucking exit or something. I don't know, it just went in a completely different tangent that was probably not needed. And, people will say, yeah, every show has a filler episode. Yeah, but, not every show only has 10 episodes that are 30 minutes long, which arguably should not be an excuse, really. And I'm not really trying to shit on the episode or anything, but just writing, and it just felt like an episode that could have been summarized in a 5-minute scene, if that, in another episode. And I think having them, like, what would have been a better episode, because obviously they set up about Lem going to help them out, picking up some weapons and stuff. Maybe they could have got the weapons a different way if they wrote it a bit differently, to where Pablo and Kelly needed to get some weapons. Maybe Amanda could have got some from the police station and give them some weapons instead of having to go to the militia. And, once they get the weapons, they could have headed on their way to the cabin. And the whole episode could have been them on the way to the cabin with Deadite Lem, like, hunting them in the forest or something. I just think that would have been a way better episode than having all this shit going on, which I just thought was kind of not needed. Obviously, there will be episodes later on like that, where there's a bit of Deadite hunting them in the forest, which is a little spoiler. But, we'll get there. Maybe they didn't want the whole last 4 episodes to be that kind of thing, I guess. But like there's an episode later on that's very similar to maybe they don't want to create something like that, so they made this whole militia story up. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't think it was needed, and it should have been a lot better for the time and amount of episodes we have in a season is what I'm trying to get at here. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the acting or the set design or the practical effects. So a lot of hard work obviously went into this episode. It's just I just thought the writing was poor, and yeah, it's pretty bad. But the highlights and lowlights, which is pretty much what I've just talked about there. The guest stars once again are a highlight. You know, the comedy thrown in there and the fight choreography I thought was really good. The Deadite kills are awesome. Or just people getting killed in general in this episode I thought was pretty cool. You know, like I said, the practical effects, the fire and the blood, some cool shots from the director again. The director's got some nice shots on that. The lowlights, you know, the plot is weak. The Ruby scene is just thrown in there. In my opinion, you know, Lucy Lawless again. She's obviously just filming separately from these all the time, and yeah, it's like, you know what? We have these scenes from Ruby where she's come back to life. She's getting into a car with a Kandarian dagger and she's driving off. Where do we put them? Oh yeah, let's dump them in this episode. It's just you know, if you took they are a low light and they are a highlight, because you know some of the best things of this episode are the ones that take you out of it. So obviously you see in the cabin talking about Ruby, like some of the best things about it were taking you out of the episode, and I don't know, it's just like obviously just throwing stuff in to the episode willy-nilly. You know, if you took them out of it, if you took the Ruby scenes out of it and you took away them talking about, you know, where they're heading and all that stuff, all the stuff that takes you out of the episode, if you just looked at that episode now where it's just based on the militia with Lem, it's kind of iffy, right? But yeah, like I said, it could have all been done in 5 minutes, honestly. So yeah, that's the highlights and lowlights. Let's move on to the interesting things of note. This is the DVD commentary by Dana, Ray, and Jill again. Now, as I continue a shit on this episode, because, you know, I missed the negative. There's actually, you know, when I was watching the DVD commentary, usually I've got to pause a lot again to type up what they've said and things, but as they're talking, sometimes they'll just go quiet and it'll play a little bit of the episode and, you know, it'll go full volume for the episode. This happened more frequently than any other episode, by the way. Like, I'm not, like, not even just a couple of times. I'm talking, like, you know, eight or nine more times that they just went silent when they were talking about this episode. And I think that maybe will just kind of give you the overall idea of this episode, I guess. Jill said the last episode was hard for her to shoot because her scenes were shot throughout the whole season, so she had to go back and forth and remember what her character was thinking in that moment. You know, that would be very difficult. You know, if you're filming all your scenes, I guess, or you're filming on different days and stuff, and you know, episodes aren't being shot in order, so you know, Amanda could have, or Jill could have already did her parts for the final episode or the second from last episode or whatever that she's in, and then she's kind of brought in to do this episode, and you kind of got to remember, what was my character thinking at this time, and then show and bring the right emotion to it, you know. So that's got to be very difficult doing that. Dana, Ray, and Jill all met for the first time on the plane in New Zealand. Jill was sitting right in front of Dana. They said shooting in the woods in New Zealand was freezing, and they all had to wear little heat pads that warm you up. Apparently it was a record-breaking temperature when they were filming this in New Zealand. You know, it was like 30 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's I don't know what that is in Celsius because I work in Celsius, but yeah, that's I bet you that's fucking cold. Ray said the people dead on the ground at the start of the episode were buried in a box in the ground, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know why they would do that, but yeah. Jill was trying not to laugh at Dana shouting at the Deadite Lem to come and get her. She was also trying not to laugh when Mark, who plays Crosby, was grabbing her because she kept picturing him as a Santa Claus just grabbing her. Jill said that when she was handcuffed with Bruce, she could just slip her hand out of them. She can do that with any handcuffs in real life as well. Dana and Ray said the set design crew would put up and tear down sets in 5 to 10 days. I thought that was pretty interesting how quick they work. You know, they're building sets for this episode and then they're taking them down. It's like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Ray said he purposely laid on the ground next to Dana because he wanted the shot of to be Pablo looking up to Kelly for advice, like the character does for Kelly and Ash. Mike Estes, who plays the guy who shouts at Kelly and says like, "I'm gonna get you pregnant later," that dude. He was actually their bodyguard in New Zealand as well. Mike, who filmed the scene with Dana and that scene I just spoke about there, actually told Dana to spit on him in the scene to make her more bold and that she wouldn't stand for his shit. And she wasn't expecting him to actually wipe it off his face and lick it. Ray said they aren't actually allowed to drive the cars during the stunts, so when he was reversing on the Deadite, he was actually sitting on the stunt guy's lap and he was driving underneath him, which I thought was funny. Apparently the truck scene was Dana and Ray's last scene filmed together of the entire season. This is what I mean when things have been shot out of order. I thought that was very interesting. Why would they not shoot it all in the same, like, because it's all obviously all shot in the same place. Why would they not shoot it in like build up to the, I don't know. It was just it's just what they said on the DVD commentary. Maybe they were meant to say episode, but they both said it was like their last scene filmed together of the entire season, so I'm assuming that's what they mean. And you know, they didn't have a lot of time to shoot it, so they improvised a lot with the truck scene. When Dana was shooting the weapon, it kept jamming, so when it finally worked, she goes, "Ha!" That was actually her just reacting to the weapon not jamming for once. Ray just improvised punching the Deadite because he was fed up with reshooting the scene. Still has wounds on his hands from it. Jill and Bruce actually had to lean back during the fight scene when Lem breathes the fire at them. So that's it for the DVD commentary. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to bring in there. The IMDb trivia: Lucy Lawless had a body double for her nude scene. Now, that just brings the episode down massively, right? Alright, moving on to your thoughts. So let's start with Sporter on Sporter's thoughts section of the podcast. He says, overall, this was a fine episode to say the least. There's not much to talk about, like in depth in comparison to the others, honestly, as it is a bit filler in my opinion. However, no, you're completely right. You know, you don't have to say like try and defend in your opinion that you don't have to say it like, you know, it's just a bit filler in my opinion. I think we're all in agreement here. Yeah, filler in a seasonal show like this just doesn't work, honestly. You know, it did have some enjoyable moments though. However, it was still enjoyable for sure and kept me engaged. This was again directed by Michael Hurst, and although this was some of more solid work from him, I definitely preferred his direction in the last episode. Oh yeah, he had way cooler shots in the last episode. Don't get me wrong, the shots in the bunker were great in this episode, but the last episode with a camera, with the explosion of the glass, and you know, like the slow motion of all the people dying and stuff, in the diner, like that was so, you didn't really have a moment like that in this episode, unfortunately. It just feels like they maybe ran out of a bit of budget on this episode, you know. Like, maybe we should have just had 9 episodes and just not had this one. Firstly, I thought the camaraderie between Ash, Pablo, and Kelly and Amanda was spot on in this episode. I agree, yeah, that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed Amanda in this episode, which was a nice damn change for once. She fits in quite well with the Ghost Beaters and their whole dynamic. At the same time, however, I was questioning why it took this long to get a decent foundation of Amanda's character, but nevertheless, it was hell of an improvement. Yeah, it's taken us 7 episodes to get here with Amanda. And I think this is just the curse of having these 30-minute episodes where, you know, we can't really develop the character quick enough in the other episodes because, you know, going back to some of the old episodes, it was kind of like, you know, have a little snippet of Amanda here and there. You know, the build up in the first 3 episodes of Amanda when she was like finding the books from Beyond card, and then, oh, you know, I think, was it at the end of the episode or the end of the next? Oh, yeah, I think it was the end of the episode where she found the card. It's like you're showing her going there all of a sudden. It's just like all these little snippets of the character. And then we finally got her meeting up with the Ghost Beaters at the Books from Beyond episode. And to me, right there, should have been when the character joined them. You know, I don't think we needed to keep going for all the other stuff with, you know, turning up to the diner finally and, you know, stalking them a little bit longer. You know, she finally caught up to them and, you know, maybe she could have even had a role where she was pretending to go along with them to see what was really going on. but really, you know, her end goal was to bring Ash in regardless, because she still didn't understand. So if she went along with Ash, Pablo, and Kelly after the Books from Beyond stuff, she could have seen what happened with Ash. She could have seen what happened with Eligos. All that stuff could have went down. You know, they would have been attacked by the evil in the caravan. And you know, I just would have wrote the character totally different, and you know, would have put all that into perspective a little bit more. I just, yeah, I think that would have been the correct way. I don't think you could have done it a better way than what I've just mentioned. You know, she should have went with them after the Books from Beyond as sort of like undercover to see what the fuck's happening. And, you know, she shouldn't have had to play the whole gun-ho cop type of thing. You know, just going crazy, straight out the bat, arrest by the book, like that type of thing. Like she's off duty, she killed her partner, she, you know, had that whole ordeal in the mansion, one of the best scenes in the entire season, by the way. And then, yeah, let's just have the little snippets here, and she just would have easily learned everything from the Books from Beyond, and then just going undercover. But like, it just didn't make sense that she was arresting them that early. But yeah, 7 episodes to kind of bring her to a good foundation, which is crazy. And like I said, they probably should have done it the way I suggested there. Next, I found out the practical effects in this one were definitely at the forefront this time around, which was cool to see. The episode has some very innovative Deadite kills and action sequences. Yeah, the dude getting bashed into the back of the truck, I thought was, you know, the Deadite just doesn't move and just keeps on plowing his head and his skull into the back of the truck. I don't know what's that called, like a tailgate type of thing. I know it's tailgating. What the hell is it called? Them things on the back of a truck, like you pull things along on. I forget the name of it. Because it's not a winch, because that goes on the front. But yeah, I can't think of the name of that thing on the back of the truck. But he just gets his head plowed into it. My favorite, however, has to be the one with Kelly and Pablo in the back of the truck. The way Pablo was completely freaking out and Kelly trying to aim carefully at the Deadite was hilarious. Yeah, it gets a good laugh from me every time, this scene. I love it. As Kelly missed her shots, Pablo got bloodier and panicked more, and the little detail with Kelly flying back a bit and shooting dude with the impact of the gun was funny. It seemed like Ray and Dana had a lot of fun with this one. Yeah, so in the DVD commentary, like I mentioned, they improvised a lot of that scene. And because the director said we wanted some like slapstick comedy type of vibe to it, and there wasn't a lot actually written like dialogue wise for the scene either. Like he was just supposed to jump up on the truck, grab the gas mask, and then the Deadite would attack them. And then, you know, there was no dialogue really written, so they had to kind of play it all out themselves, which I thought was interesting. You know, it kind of brings more appreciation to the scene for me, at least, that, you know, it was all kind of improvised there. Sporta says, in terms of set design, this was easily the best episode so far for that. I love the look of the interior design with the bunker. They did such a fantastic job at setting that up with the likes of the lightning. Why the fuck did I say that? The likes of the lighting, props, architecture, etc. Making it as immersive and realistic as possible. Dude, imagine how hard it would have been to shoot inside of there. Because you've already obviously got all this like narrow space that they have, and then they've got to get a camera crew in there and stuff. I understand sometimes they'll take a wall down and things to fit things in, but you know, that whole hallway scene, probably not a lot of room in there, you know, to keep the light out and everything, so they've got to fit a camera in there as well. The same goes for when they're inside of the militia hut or like the barn type of thing. You know, they're all squeezed in there and they have a camera crew in there and people with boom mics and everything. Like that's gotta be crazy, right? But yeah, you're right, even the military base overall was amazing to look at. Major props to the team for all that work. Yeah, I think the entire set design on every episode is fantastic, honestly. Finally, I wanted to talk about the final scene with the song Time Has Come Today by Bootsy Collins, who I fucking love. And he did this version of the song exclusively for this show, which I thought was neat. Oh, he did? Okay. I wasn't sure. But yeah, I put it in there. I wasn't too sure about that. The use of the song in this context was great, presenting to us that Ash is still on the fence about bringing along these new friends he has been bonding with enormously. The lyrics, Time Has Come Today, young hearts can go their way, while the camera pans to the cabin was excellent, basically meaning that the young hearts, being Ash's friends, can go their own way because the time has come today for them to settle this on his own. The lyrics further go on to say, can't put it off another day. I don't care what the others say, essentially conveying that even though Ash knows he's getting along with these people so well and is aware that they want to help, he has to put both his love and their opinions aside to stick to his guns. He doesn't want a repeat of last time, and I just love how far he's come as a character to realize that. Yeah, and you know, the realization of when he opens up to them. What the hell? There was a little fly there. What the fuck? The realization that when he like opens up to them, he says, "Oh, you guys mean a lot to me. You know, there's a place in your heart. There's a place in my heart for you guys." And then they're just walking away slowly, like they're going off as their own pack, and Ash is just staying back behind. That just the close up shot and the close up shot of seeing Ash there and Bruce like bringing that emotion to the character. I thought that was really cool, especially it just being kind of different for the character as well. Obviously, he's had some emotional scenes as well, but you know, this is kind of bringing out a lot of humanity to him there. But yeah, I love that. Overall, this was a decent episode. Nothing in cinematography this time around for me. Yeah, you know, there was some cool shots, but you know, there wasn't any standout ones, or unique ones. I would say there wasn't even any demon point of view cameras or anything. I mean, you can't have that in every episode, but you know, the last episode you had all that different direction of, you know, you had the demon point of view, you had the smashing through the window scene, you had the fight scene. Like, you just had so much going on in the last episode that really brought in a lot of different cool cinematography to it. You know, most of the shot composition you see here were similar to last time, and it makes sense since it was Hearst again. Yeah, and nothing wrong with it though. Solid work all around, and more perfect performances from the actors. However, it did feel a bit filler, and they were a chunk of scenes I would have just cut personally to drive the story forward more. I agree. I would have cut majority of this episode, to be honest. Also, the Ruby scenes felt a bit out of place for me. I feel like it would have been better to put those at the start of the next episode and show her perspective getting from Brewer's hut to the cap. Yeah, that would have been really fucking awesome, actually. They should have dumped it in the next episode, yeah. It just felt odd and rushed. Anyway, the only cool thing was the transition of Amanda when she's talking about Ruby and explaining her to Ash. And, you know, as she's doing that, it's sort of like a narration of what's happening as she's, like, resurrecting. Like, a narration of the character she's resurrecting out of the fire pit. I just thought that was really cool. And you know, Amanda saying like, I owed all to Ruby, you know, she made me open my eyes and realize what's going on. Where, you know, Ruby's just like someone totally different because she's just fucking come back from the dead. And we're like, whoa, shit. And you know, maybe she is actually a bad woman. And we already know that she's after Ash, right? So, you know, she's going to be on the totally wrong side of this, even though, like, you'd think because Amanda knows so much about Ruby, apparently, she would have heard that Deadite saying that, you know, oh, you're going to take the book for yourself and all that stuff. Like, you think she would have opened up to Ash about that? You know, trying to describe Ruby to her, Ruby to Ash, sorry. You think she would have opened up about that and give Ash a little inkling of what's going on there, but yeah, it was kind of weird. Spoda then continues to say it just felt odd and rushed. Anyways, it was an alright episode. I'll give this 1.5 chainsaws. A solid rating. I can't argue with that too much. I just think, yeah. I do appreciate all your thoughts there, Spoda. You've definitely typed a lot less this time, but it might just be because of the episode itself. You know, this, like you said, there wasn't really a lot to talk about, and even the actors were struggling to find stuff to talk about. Yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? A filler. You still like it though, you know. 1.5 chainsaws is a solid rating. You know, that's saying it's half as good as the pilot. So yeah. But yeah, I appreciate your thoughts as always, Spoda. Swash says the highlights for me in this episode were Ruby's return, the underground bunker scenes, and the setup of Ash's hand at the cabin. I like the suspense of and the atmosphere of the bunker, but the interaction between Amanda and Ash seemed forced and just feels off. Yeah, I'm with you there. Like, yeah, like you said, I'm just not feeling the chemistry between them at all. On the flip side, I feel like the chemistry between Kelly and Pablo is spot on and feels like they're getting closer and it feels way more natural. Yeah. It's like I said, like, does it make sense that Ash and Amanda all of a sudden are like getting together? Like, and don't get me wrong, I think Bruce and Jill, you know, Ash and Amanda, like, they do have good chemistry the way they're interacting with each other, but it does just feel off because it just feels like they've rushed sort of into that a lot. Just all of a sudden, out of nowhere. That's why I think, going back to what I just said, if Amanda had left with them on the Books from Beyond episode, went through all the shit that they had to go through at Brujo's hut and stuff, they still could have had this thing happen at the diner as well. You know, the police could have tracked him down. You didn't need Amanda to discover him there or anything like that. So, you know, having her through those episodes, they could have developed the character a lot better. They could have developed this relationship with Bruce and Ash a lot better. I don't know. I just think that would have been way cooler for the character instead of having all this forced entry of relationships and shit. I don't know what's going on there. Loved how Ruby just climbs out of the fire pit like no big deal. Yay, boob too. It was a stunt double. It was a stunt nude. Not good. Although I do wonder who parked Ruby's car, because I'm pretty sure last time we saw it was sitting on the side of the road at the diner when Amanda left with the ghost beaters. Could be mistaken though. Yes, it was. It was on the side. It wasn't neatly parked in a car parking space, which I think it was in this episode, right? I'm pretty sure the police moved it because it was close to the diner, and as you can see, it's all got the crime scene tape up and stuff, so the police have obviously been there. A little detail you may have missed. At least they had the little bit of, you know, the attention to detail there where they had the tape up because of what just happened at the diner. So obviously, I think the police would have just drove it away at a certain distance, you know, keep the distance away from the diner because, you know, it was a fucking massacre there. But yeah, the camera work and the reveal of the hand having reached the cabin at sunset was top notch, as we all know. Nothing good happens at that cabin when the sun goes down. Yeah, I really like that shot, honestly. Outside of that, everything else with the militia just seemed like filler and served no purpose other than them to put them all in a situation to get some weapons and set up the bunker stuff. But we do get the sense that Ash really does care for the people as he slips away on his own to get the cabin. Swash's rating is 1.5 chainsaws. Overall enjoyable, but loses focus outside of a few key plot elements. And I have enjoyed previous episodes much more than this one. Yeah, I mean, you and Sporter kind of, you know, thinking it's filler. Yeah, I totally get that. He's kind of on the same wavelength there. I still think 1.5 chainsaws is quite generous. I do, but yeah, I can't argue with your rating on that. You know, it definitely had some cool scenes that bring it up to a 1.5, but yeah, I appreciate your thoughts, Swash, as always. I appreciate you getting them on time this time as well. Getting them in on time, so I don't have to go back and edit it. But I appreciate it, dude. The next one is Mr. Brewer. Mr. Brewer says, not gonna lie, this episode gave me that I'm out of ideas kind of episode. Right, Mr. Brewer. So we've done 7 episodes of this, and you decide to jump in on the worst one so far to give your opinion. Huh? What are you doing? What are you doing? At least you're jumping in towards the end of the season where things are really going to start heating up. But but yeah, you say that it's an out of D's kind of episodes. I know they ended up getting some weapons, but I didn't really like the whole bunker plot with Amanda and Ash. It felt a bit forced, and the militia didn't really help either. It's just a classic doomsday preppers afraid of government and thinking they're behind everything. Again, this is probably one of those episodes I skip over when we're rewatching the series, because on the plus side, I do like Pablo and Kelly's part, especially when Pablo stabs the shit out of the possessed militia guy. 0.5 chainsaws, would not recommend watching. It doesn't stab him, he just gets shot and then he gets punched. But yeah, I know what you mean, dude. I brought it up before. You know, it's one of those episodes, like, you know, things feel forced. It was just a lazy episode for them to get weapons, and like I said, if they had the Amanda plot development and the method that I suggested where they had it for more episodes, they could have built up to her going to the police station, getting some weapons for them. You know, having that instead of this whole militia sidetrack, which I thought was pretty silly. Anyways, moving on. I appreciate your thoughts, Mr. Brewer. Gives it a 0.5 chainsaw. It's understandable. Alright, so moving on to Oldhead's thoughts on the episode. Even though the fight with Lem underground is really fun, I had to correct you there because you typed Clem. Clementine from The Walking Dead. Imagine if she turned up. Ready to fuck people up. Especially the interaction between Amanda and Ash. The scene that is my favorite is when we finally see how awesome Ruby is. When Lucy emerges from the fire pit, she was dragged into escaping hell again, and it just looks annoyed, not even pressed about it. Yeah. Lucy Lawless always does a good job playing Ruby and doing things like that. Like when she crushes the skull and she's just like, all right, I'm moving on. I don't even care that I just went through that. I'm just moving on. All right, I appreciate your guys' thoughts. If you always want to get involved in leaving your opinions on each episode, I do a community post every Friday or Saturday, so you guys can watch it over the weekend, or you can watch it nice and early, get your thoughts in as soon as possible, and leave the comment below this video, and I'll just copy it into my notes here on my tablet. You know, I get to read through all this. It's great. I do want to light a tablet though. This thing can get heavy. You know, this is from 2016. You know, it's an old tablet, but it's still fucking going. It's still going. It's got a great battery. You know, this was 100% when I started doing this. You know, I've been looking at the screen, I got my brightness turned all the way up so I can read, and it's only used 6% battery. So yeah, for a tablet that is, you know, 8 years old, it's doing a fucking job, isn't it? Okay, so moving on to my thoughts for this episode. I just didn't enjoy this episode much. You know, there's only really 3 good scenes worth mentioning, and, you know, they are the bunker fight, the truck scene, and the cabin at the end, obviously. You know, the plot for me is very weak, being in the place. It was all set up in the last episode that we were going to go here. But, you know, only for a couple of weapons. I just thought it was kind of stupid. You know, then Ash just leaves them at the end as well. So, you know, the whole ordeal is like, all right, we're going to go to the militia. We're going to, like, Ash already has his weapon. He's got his fucking chainsaw and the boomstick, so... In the last episode, he was talking to Lem. He was like, well, where's your camp? We're going to go there and get, like, even establishing that they need to go there and get weapons. Why? Because during the diner, they weren't even, like, Ash wasn't even convinced that Kelly and Pablo was going with them. But, you know, suspend some disbelief on that one a little bit, I guess. And then they bring into this episode where they're all going there to get weapons, and, you know, all they leave with is an M16 or an M4 and a revolver for Pablo. Amanda's obviously already got her police issued firearm, so, you know, they get their weapons, and then at the end Ash just fucking leaves them in anyway. So why didn't they just go and get the weapons? I don't know. It's just, this entire plot is just all over the place, man. I can't make any sense of it. Anyway, some of the best parts of the episode were when we were talking about things outside the episode. It was very awesome seeing the cabin again as well at the end. So, for my rating, bearing in mind, I did enjoy some sections of this episode. I did enjoy the acting and some of the scenes, but this gets a pink fuck from me.
There's a shit ton of ketamine in it.
And I can't give it, you know, it's neither here or there. You know, Mr. Brewer says it's one of those episodes that you could happily skip and you wouldn't really miss anything. And I have to agree with that. You know, the highlights obviously is like Deadite Lem and seeing how badass he is with the fire and stuff. I really enjoy that whole bunker sequence as well. But the plot and everything, the setup, it's just a fucking mess. And that brings it down hugely for me, hugely. So yeah, agree with me or disagree with me? That's my rating. It gets a solid pink F. But yeah, anyways, my favorite scene. Time for my favorite scene. The truck scene with Pablo and Kelly. I fucking love that scene. I thought it was hilarious. And, you know, just seeing the blood go all over Ray, and he's sliding around everywhere, and he's freaking out, you know, trying to duck out the way from Kelly going to shoot him and stuff like that. Yeah, it's hilarious. I love it. So Ash's blood splatter count for this episode is 0. The overall blood splatter count is 4. So he's only been covered in blood 4 times in the first season. And they're in 7 episodes deep. That's wild. That's actually wild. You know, and I thought Bruce didn't want to play Ash anymore because he got all grumpy from being covered in shit. He's only been covered 4 times throughout this entire first season. That's an achievement, being Ash, isn't it? And yeah, he didn't actually kill any Deadites in this episode. He just had a little fight with a little tussle with Lem, and that was it. The overall Deadite count so far this season is 18. In this episode, 1 gas mask killed by Kelly, Lem by Amanda, and then the militia one at the end, killed by all of them. The next episode is episode 8, Ashes to Ashes. See, now what Sporter said about having Ruby scene, when she's rising out of the pyre, they should have had that in the next episode. That's called Ashes to Ashes. It would have fit perfectly, right? I think it was originally supposed to be in the next episode, but they just had to pad this episode out even more than it already being padding itself. But yeah, that's it for episode 7 of Deadite Talk and the Ash vs. Evil Dead rewatch podcast. Interesting episode. The lowest rated episode so far for me, definitely. The lowest enjoyment factor as well. Like I said, I kept finding myself pausing it and trying to figure things out to talk about because there was just not a lot going on apart from a few of the scenes. And yeah, we are at least gearing up towards a big finale of the season. You know, we've got episode 8, 9, and 10 left. All 3 of them are really solid episodes from what I remember. We've got some cool guest stars coming up as well, like Samara Weaving, who was in Babysitter, I believe. But yeah, we got some nice guest stars and some funny moments coming up. I'm already thinking about some of the scenes in my head that goes on with that. So yeah, I'm excited to get into the next 3 episodes. I'm glad we got this one out of the way because I was kind of dreading this one throughout the entire season, to be honest. But yeah, not that I didn't enjoy doing the podcast. It was fun to talk about and, you know, get my thoughts across to you guys about, you know, some of the character story arcs and stuff that I think could have been developed a lot better. You know, I always have these ideas for when I'm watching this show, and I'm like, oh wow, it would have been really cool if they wrote this a little bit differently and played it that way. And you know, it's nice to share those ideas with people and to have people listen. And hopefully, you've enjoyed this podcast. Sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place today as well. You know, I'm itchy. No, it's not that. I'm very tired. You know, I've had like 4 hours sleep and I'm doing this. So, you know, this episode might be cut up a little bit more. That's just because I didn't really get much sleep last night. But before we end the podcast, I just want to ask you guys to please support the channel. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you want to support it financially, you can leave a super thanks down below. You can become a member of the channel as well. All little donations go a long way on this channel and are greatly appreciated by me, and it really helps me develop the channel even further and to keep doing content for you guys. I will see you all next week for, what was it, episode 8, Ashes to Ashes. I'm excited for that one. So be sure to get your thoughts in, or get ready to watch the episode and get your thoughts in on my community post, or leave them down below on this video, or DM me them on Discord if you choose to do that. It's a lot easier just pulling them in from Discord more than anything. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and I've been Pixels, you my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.